Hey everyone, Sean Corbett, True West Realty Group. I've got a special guest with me today, Sabrina Shelpuk.
Hi, everyone.
And Sabrina I always try to find things that brings value to you guys in your business and real estate. And Sabrina has been gifted in focusing in one particular space. And she's going to help us look at Instagram in another way, right? So we're going to look at how to expand your Instagram business and be able to turn that into opportunities for yourself. I actually met Sabrina a couple months back, I think. Sabrina did a training. I was so impressed with the training. I said, you would be really good to bring this to something like this, a scenario where we can do a recording, show what she can do. And I think there's going to be a lot of things you're going to walk away with and be able to help grow your business. So I always start with a little bit of background, a little bit of context. How in the world do we go from where you started and now you're doing consulting work in Instagram?
Yeah.
So where did you kind of start with all of this stuff?
Totally. So I started in the mortgage and real estate space the March 15th of 2020, right when everything got shut down. So I was supposed to be doing a business development position for a mortgage lender. And most of the position I was hired for was to go out and meet people and do exactly this, talking with people and whining and dining of our real estate partners.
Sure.
And couldn't do any of that. So I totally reworked the position we reworked the position and I dove all in on digital and was asking all of our partners, what do you need to learn? How can I help you grow your business in the chaos of the real estate world that we were in at the time? And we could only be digital. So really dove into that, and everybody needed to learn real estate or needed to learn social media.
Sure.
To be able to reach, everybody else that they couldn't go out and do door knocking and all that kind of stuff. So kind of fell into the niche in that way. And
you say everyone. So you were working for a mortgage company.
Yes.
We would have these conversations with real estate agents, trying to bring them in, attract business, create purchase opportunities. And from there, you were working with them and teaching them some social media tips.
Yes.
Were you doing the same thing for the lenders? Because your primary business seems to be more focused around real estate agents and not lenders.
Correct.
And you came from lending in that sense.
Yes. So being in a business development position, most of my job was, of course, doing all the marketing planning for the lender. But the other half of the position was meeting with real estate agents and adding value to them and to their business and helping them grow their business so that we could then in turn grow our business. So the more value I was able to add on behalf of our lending team to all of our real estate partners was the most beneficial for our team. And so meeting and connecting with new real estate partners, helping them grow their business, adding value to their business was most of my position. And so I kind of built my sphere that way of like the go-to social media gal for real estate agents to then bring in the business to my lending team. If that makes sense.
I'll tell you what's interesting is that we're going to have a little bit of an exercise today because your specialty is around Instagram and my Instagram is non-existent. Right?
Yep.
So I'm in social media. I have Facebook. I'm pretty consistent with creating a lot of good content for my audience there, both homeowners, people that need to buy and sell, and agents. And then I also have LinkedIn that I stay pretty consistent posting things. And then I do a lot of video content like this on YouTube. And, for me, I've not moved into Instagram for a number of reasons. So I'll be a good test case. So you're going to have a conversation with me and say, why would I want to do that? How about we start with why did you focus on Instagram and not Facebook and not TikTok? TikTok is another good opportunity for real estate agents. So what drew you to that?
It was my favorite.
Because you liked it the most.
Yeah, because I enjoyed it the most.
Were you the most engaged with it? You just enjoyed the activity, the communication, the ongoing connection?
All of the above. When everything shut down and TikTok became super popular, it was already popular, but was just flooded into everybody's phones. I found myself doom scrolling for way too long on the platform, and for my own personal mental health.
What do they say it again? Doom scrolling?
Doom scrolling.
I just heard that on the radio, and I said, I know that term. I've heard that before.
Yep.
You just get in this cycle where you just are scrolling
You're
through.
Just sucked in.
Yeah.
And it's like mind numbing nothingness.
Well, it's there to help lower your IQ and make you dumber.
Mhm.
And then you have no ambition to do anything else in life, right? Because that's kind of where you get sucked in. Man, I tell you, I've had moments where I'm like, I've lost 30, 45 minutes in the evening with my kids. I'm like, I just gave that up.
Mhm.
And I didn't get that moment, to help read them a book or put them to bed or something. And I regret it.
Mhm.
So I think I've mentioned this before. I've actually removed all of the social media. I don't even have any on my phone anymore.
Mhm.
That was a decision that I made. So that's going to be an interesting to kind of overcome, because Instagram's a little bit more organic, right? There's other options that I can post and run and wait for a response tomorrow. But IG, I feel like, is a little bit more interactive, and it's more about connecting with the audience. Because one of the things I asked you, because I've got a team, I had a brokerage for about 10 years before I went and joined the current broker I'm at. And when I had my own brokerage, I would want to, create branding, control a lot of the things that were set up. And my thinking for Instagram, I actually set up a True West Realty Group Instagram page. And so tell me, I know you don't have an exact answer, but there's pros and cons. For those agents out there that are thinking, I've got a team, I got a brand, I want to build the brand. Do you build it as the individual person, or do you build it as a brand? That's kind of a good starting point.
Yes, that is. I get this question almost on a weekly basis of whether you should have a personal or business or separate, combined, and all of that. And I think in our training that we did together when I first met you,
Yeah.
I shared this, but a major theme in my coaching is that you have the permission to do it however you want to. So there's no perfect way to do social media. And there are so many different ways to do well. And the number one thing, do you know who Marie Kondo is? Have you ever heard of that name? She had this, I think it was called Tidy Up show on Netflix. And it was a house cleaning show.
Yeah.
And one of her main phrases
Not a show I probably watched, but go ahead.
It was great during COVID because everybody was cleaning and doing everything they could.
Got Miranda back there. Chin, what you like Tidy Up? Have you seen it? Okay, so she recommends it, I guess.
It's great.
Thumbs up.
It is great. For any of the organizational people out there, you'd love it. One of her major phrases in the show was, if it doesn't bring you joy, like a t-shirt or whatever's in your closet, if it doesn't bring you joy,
that's how you determine what to remove. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Get rid of it.
Gotcha.
And I kind of like to think about
that's
social
hard for
media
hoarders. I watch hoarders, and I watched a lot of hoarder shows.
So it's the opposite
and
of
they
hoarders.
have an emotional attachment to everything. There's
Yes.
some value in every item. That's their problem, as they make this emotional connection with everything they've got in their house.
Right.
So they're not very successful at that business.
Yes. They probably would be the most watched episode of Tidy Up for sure. But to social media's point, if your content or if an app or anything like that doesn't bring you joy, you don't need to do it. Social media is not the only way to thrive. In your business. It is an amazing asset that you can tap into, but it's not the only way to do it.
So I want to push back on the idea of building it for your personal versus building it for your business. Because I feel like, for me, for example, on my Facebook, I have a business page and I have a personal page, right? My personal page, I don't want to put much real estate on there. I want them to connect with me and know me from my family, my wife, my 3 incredible kids, and the things that we really enjoy and love doing. I want to share those things. And occasionally I might have a hint of real estate in there, but generally I don't really see much need for that there. On the business page, I also want to have value add opportunities, and I'll put personal things on my business page. But the other times is, it's a social media post about how to do something better in real estate, or as a seller or buyer, help them, improve their chances of success, whatever side they're on, but there's not going to be a whole lot of, I mean, you may have interaction either way, but I don't feel like you can be all that organic hiding behind a business. That's my thinking, right? So Instagram is about you interacting, communicating, connecting with others. If you've got a brand, there's some type of buffer there that doesn't allow them to get to know you personally. So when I post, it's posted as True West Realty. And okay, they may push back on content or have questions or things like that. That's fine, but they're communicating with the company. So I feel like that's really going to create a problem if you want to start building organic opportunities. And I watch people that have built very big Instagram following, right?
Hmm.
We had a guy on Monday, and he's got tens of thousands that are connected with him, and he has over 10,000 agents in his group beneath him, like that have actually joined
Awesome.
his brokerage and joined underneath where he's at. And he doesn't call any of them. He's not cold calling. He's just, they want to be a part of whatever he's building because he's very good at it.
Yeah.
He could have easily named it the company he worked for, and it's an identifiable company, but he didn't. He calls it his own personal name.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and then he makes his own personal videos, and he still has, a million views on different topics and things. That's an easy interaction. So I would almost think you don't want to tell people how to do their business, but I feel like there's going to create that buffer if you have something separating you from your audience.
Totally.
So
yeah.
Free
totally
advice,
agree.
you can pass that on and educate. I kind of like in your business, they don't know what they're doing. So sometimes it's good. You can put guardrails out here, but it's hard to build, right? So we want to put guardrails enough for them. If they want to reinvent themselves later, that's fine. But let's do something we know is going to create traction.
Totally. Yeah.
Just my thought.
There's so many different ways to go about it, which is one of the reasons why I do love my job as a whole, because every single person has a different why and a different how. And you can tailor their experience on whatever social platform they decide to invest in. We can tailor the approach to whatever it is. So if they do choose the business route, which is totally great.
Well, then niche it.
Yes, you can, and you can share personal stuff.
Like you hide behind a generic filter, it's hard to connect with. But if you niche it and say, I'm here to tell you how we're going to sell your house in 3 days, no matter what. And I'm going to show you 100 trips how we're going to do that. You niche it, I can understand why that would have a connected audience, right?
Totally.
Or barbecue guys, right? I mean, I know there's a plenty of thousands of these options because I'm not that into Instagram yet, but I know at some point I will. And my business partner, he's very into it and he loves to grill. And he's got probably 10 guys he follows on barbecue, and they name it the barbecue stuff, but you identify with that individual doing the posting. So sometimes I guess you could work past that filter, right?
Totally.
Because now you get to know the connected person that's there.
Yep.
Not just hide behind it. So maybe I'll give an exception to that.
There's always an exception.
Last thing. You said you really enjoy doing it. One of the things is it's real hard for you to be wrong. That's probably not a bad place to be.
It is.
Right? Especially if you build it with wide enough barriers, then they can create the content based on what they feel they're going to move forward with. And they may have gone the wrong direction. But you may not, right? The only thing is be organic. Just be true to yourself, and it's going to connect and resonate with who you intend to resonate with.
Right.
Because they'll understand you.
And understanding who that is that you are resonating with is a huge piece of it too. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I think a lot of us miss is not understanding the one person that I'm talking to right now that needs to know this. And it's not about the views. It's not about the virality of the content that you're putting out there. Going viral is amazing for sure. And you can get a ton of exposure for that. But that shouldn't be the goal necessarily, because you need to sell, how many homes would you say that you personally can sell in a year?
But my limit's pretty high, maybe 300.
Great.
But I sell about 100 now.
Great.
But I'm scalable, so I can triple that if I need to.
Perfect. So if you got 300 views of 300 engaged people, that would be your max for the year.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Now, reaching
I may not
millions,
get a check from the social media company.
Right.
I may not get ads put on there. But at least I achieved and I love that view, right? Because my YouTube channel is very limited in exposure. I have very limited subscribers, which I appreciate you subscribing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which is number 46. 46. But I know that the ones that do come and look at my content have a real reason to be there in a connection, right?
Right. And that's the value that you really want to create, because getting 300 views on an Instagram video is not considered high necessarily, but having 300 engaged, well-developed followers that know you and you have a connection with, that you can direct message or whatever it is super valuable.
I do have a case in point. So I used to do these podcasts consistently. For about a year, we did them, and we'd use the green screen, do all kinds of fun, clever stuff. And we'd have interactions, talk about politics and all kinds of exciting things that create clicks. And at some point in time, he would have posts on his TikToks and his Instagrams. He'd hit 100,000 in a month. And I said, okay, I mean, it sounds really cool, but how many houses are we selling through this audience? None. No one's communicating or connecting through that. And I'm not trying to do and sell stuff, because he would also try to sell like shirts and t-shirts and stuff. And that's fun. But my view is I want to be a source of credibility that people come to solve real estate problems. And I want to have that relationship that way. So I'm okay not having, big numbers. And I've done this for probably 2 years, and I'm only at 46 subscribers today. But I'm still not discouraged because I know that my content is relevant and good to my audience. And I know it's going to grow on its own organically.
Yeah.
And I have a higher probability they're going to work with me versus having 100,000 clicks because we did something funny.
Right. Yes. And drawing in the right people is more valuable than drawing in millions of people.
All right, let's keep on the topic. When we talked about, you focused on Instagram because you liked it the most and you want to have passion about something.
Totally.
Right? You want to be excited about. So Instagram was easy for you. Why should I look at Instagram? I'm not on it. I don't do really anything on it. My little True West channel does nothing. So I'm going to probably delete it and look at the way you recommend setting it up, which from our training, I wrote down all the notes. I know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to let you do it again.
Okay.
Why should I move into Instagram when I'm already in Facebook and YouTube and some of these other things?
So back to my original point, you certainly don't have to. Most of my training and most of the things that I talk through are applicable to all social platforms. However, for Instagram, my personal favorite, I think that the level of connectability through Instagram is amazing. And the algorithm of Instagram is amazing. I think it's
as long as you're using it.
Yes, totally.
And interact and use it.
A perfect baby of Facebook and TikTok. Because you get the algorithm that recommends your content like TikTok to the people that are looking for that, but it also encourages the connection that Facebook has. And so you get to have real
watch
relationships.
Theirs, then there's a chance they will come back and watch yours.
Yeah.
Because Instagram has that part of their algorithm.
Yes.
And it has maybe a little less, what do you call it? Requiring you to stay touching it. I'm trying to think of the term, like you're hooked, less hooked on it.
Yes.
I
think there is definitely a hook to it with the Reels aspect. And I certainly like watching Reels the most.
Yeah.
But you have the option, and TikTok has some of these things too, where you can have photos in there. And Instagram definitely is pulling different things that TikTok has. Not all of them I necessarily love, but it has all of the things that I prefer. And when I'm making content, I want to look like I am enjoying being there. And we are super transparent. And if you hated doing podcasts, the audience would absolutely be able to tell that you are uncomfortable, you're not having fun, and all of that. And so that's why I dive into it. And if you like it, if that's something that is exciting to you, or at least the outcomes of what it can create for you, if that excites you, then I think that's something that you should jump into. It's definitely a long game. All social media is a long game type of thing. It's not a quick cash, just like real estate, that a lot of people, I think, will get into it for. There's a whole digital marketing thing that's going around right now. It's kind of like an MLM thing, but we won't get into that. But a lot of people, I think, get into it because they think that they can grow a really cool following and be Instagram famous and, have sponsors and all this stuff, which it is really cool. But the Instagram influencers of our day work so hard.
Oh, yeah.
And the documentation of every single thing and the planning that goes into it, it's amazing how they can do that. Like, genuinely, and this is coming from a social media manager. Like, I think it's fascinating how detailed and type A that you'd have to be in order to do that. It's not just setting up your phone and talking through putting your makeup on in the morning. There's so much more to it. And
which brings me back to something. The systems that I have in place can be a pretty systematic. Okay, I can post at certain times. I have staff and people that take content that I've created and they repurpose it into blogs and posts and short videos that we'll use at my various social media spots. Can we do some similar things with Instagram. I don't want to call it automation because it really takes all the joy of the organic aspect of it. But I don't have social media on my phone. So I'm not going to interact with somebody on Instagram at that moment when they communicate with me. I will on my computer at my office, and I'm at my computer in my office most of the work week. But is it something that not only can it be automated? I guess we'll start with that because I'm going to have a follow-up question to that.
To automating communication on Instagram?
Like, okay, so I've created content, like I just did this podcast with you, right? I've got good conversational stuff. We can clip some things that would be of value to real estate agents, and we create a short, put it in Instagram, and add things to it to make it a little bit more interactive. But that could be posted at 5:00 this evening, which works.
Totally.
But I know there's also an ongoing connection and follow-up part of the process.
Yes.
Right. And that's where I'm losing it because I don't want to be on it all the time.
Totally. Yes. There are many
How many
different
times a day are
ways.
you on it?
I literally couldn't even tell you.
More than
the
twice?
limit does not exist.
More than 10? 100?
Yes. I would say probably in like the 40s to 50s range because I do it for other people too. So I'm scrolling through all the accounts that are on my phone, posting and interacting.
That's
and
that's my big follow-up question, right? So I can create a Sean Corbett Instagram page. Other people can admin it?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. That was one of the things I didn't know because I felt like it was tied to my phone. It's because I really wanted it on the phone. That's where, because interactions are there. It's easy to upload. They've made it very clean and easy, making it on the phone. So you can actually log into somebody else's Instagram on your phone as an admin or whatever, or using their login.
Just their login.
So you can now access theirs and you can communicate as if you were them.
Yep, totally.
Takes a little bit of the organic part out of it, doesn't it?
Yes. So
how do you feel like that impacts the audience? Like you're not them. You don't have their stories. You don't have the way that they would say things.
Yes. So in my business, yeah, right. In my business, if I'm representing a brand, I will more than happy add that into.
Yeah, you don't have to be as personal.
Package,
yeah, but you don't have to be as personal then.
And I can have a script of things that if people are asking questions and things like that, I can pull from because I'm not the brand.
Yeah,
I'm representing the brand. However,
you're creating an interaction that can turn into an opportunity that you can now send to them
or pass off or whatever.
Absolutely.
And so that is absolutely part of the deal. However, for clients that are people and I'm representing or managing their page as their person, I do not interact as them because
it's personal.
I just feel like that it takes away from the organic piece. Also, I'm married and most of the people that I work with are also married. And if I'm going through and commenting on as a man, let's say, on his feed, and there's, a female that has some sort of issue or whatever the thing is on social media, there's just so much muddy water with that. And I would never want to put somebody else in a position of having to deal with something or start sparking up a conversation with someone when I'm representing a person. Yeah. That's a moral thing for me. I just don't think that's right. And I would never want to put somebody else's marriage or relationship or whatever in jeopardy for communicating with somebody on social that, their spouse may not have enjoyed that conversation for or whatever it is. And so I very early on in my career in my business, I made that a point that that's not part of my business, but there is huge value in doing it. So I highly encourage and will check in on my clients to make sure that they are doing something like that, whether commenting back to their people on their posts or I'll let them know, hey, so-and-so DM'd you or whatever.
You got to follow and watch their, posts in that same space, right? I mean, that's kind of part of it too. Yeah. It's not just commenting and responding or responding to your own, but you've also got to connect with your audience and comment and review what they have.
Them. Yes. Right. And that's the part that I find morally wrong in a sense for me because
you're being an imposter.
it's not just imposter syndrome. I am literally being somebody else. And I can't speak to your clients the way that you can because I'm not you. And in the overarching theme of especially Instagram, authenticity is the name of the game.
Yeah.
And like that word even is like cringy to me now because it's so much talked about, but it is so true. And I can't be you, no matter how much I learn you and the way you speak and how you talk to people. I can't be that because you are the
Well, that's why we
only thing
have
that makes
AI
your
now.
business unique.
Yeah, that's why we have AI now, right?
Yeah.
It can be me now.
Totally. Which is
Even a
scary.
video of me.
Yes.
So I don't even have to do it. I'll just have the AI do. Yeah, there's certainly.
But there's so much value in that. So I definitely encourage everybody to actually do that.
Okay. So we talked about automation. It can be done.
Yes.
Now, where do you? So you draw the line at communicating or connecting or liking other people's stuff or any of that on a personal account. What?
And that's just a personal thing.
Yeah, that's fine. But what are you offering as a service? So, we're going to come back to the end. I want you to talk about services that you do provide because I want to ask about that specifically.
Totally.
How can you,
Run.
do that? What are you actually going to be able to do? I like the idea of repurposing content. Like, so you and I talked before this, that you've created content and sometimes you have good content that you did a year ago and it's really of value. And it can be used even today. So most people have this fear that they have to be working full-time creating content.
Right.
You can repurpose your own content, and bring it back and use it again, in the future. I think that's a really good, value add that makes sure that we include that too.
Absolutely.
And I do that. It's funny because I'll see some, and I've heard this before, if you've been doing real estate for as long as I have, I'm probably pushing 15 years. I have 5-star reviews, 10, 12 years ago. No one's going to remember any of that. I could post those today on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
And I see people repurpose their own reviews. Oh, wow, 5-star review. It's still honest, it's legit, but it's just bringing it back up from the past.
Totally.
I've not done that, but I'm just saying it's a funny thing that
You definitely can.
That's an example of repurposing content.
Yes.
So you have some things that you want to share as far as specific ways that help people in building their, and this is going to apply to real estate or is this going to, what do you want to apply it to?
Oh, absolutely. We can absolutely apply this to real estate. You can apply this to mortgage. You can apply it to insurance, any and all of the above. Or just a regular small business.
Sure.
But to the automation question, there are so many different ways that you can automate it. And you can, there's outside apps and all of these things where you can have automatic replies that will automatically send different things. If somebody comments a certain word in your caption, it'll auto comment as you to go somewhere or whatever it is. So there's a bunch of different ways to automate the interactions.
My number one way is thinking of, things like this or any YouTube videos and content I've created before. I can create, IG Reels out of them. That's kind of where I wanted to start, not even taking old content, but taking current content. And then you can, because your audience is different on all of them. Unfortunately, I can't just, I always wanted to have this one and done kind of thing, right? Where I create content, I never have to come back to it and recreate it again. For example, I've taught on sphere of influence over and over again. And I keep uploading my new YouTube videos or content of sphere of influence training each time I do one. And I change them every time because I'm adding more things that are more relevant or will help agents, building their audience and their sphere of influence. So anytime I do that, but then, the way it has to be cut and set, from portrait to landscape to length of time to captions, not captions, they all kind of have a different way that's going to have the maximum value. So that takes time to do that for sure. And having someone that knows how to do that would be a value. Yeah, would be a value to be able to manage because that's not all that interesting to me. Yeah. But I like creating content. Yeah. So I don't have a problem. I think the hardest stuff is creating content personally.
Totally.
All right. So what do we have? So we've got a couple of slides you've created to kind of give an overview.
Yes. So the first thing is the 5 E's or the 5 content pillars of creating. And this is very high level overview of what sort of categories that you can dive into when you are creating content. So
this is for the person that doesn't know where to start, don't know what kind of content to create.
Yes, creating your strategy.
Okay.
These are like the first initial few steps of actually creating that strategy. So the first one is educational, which in real estate and in your industry as a whole, insurance, mortgage, I think this is really where people live for the most part, because you guys have so much knowledge about your industry that most of the world has no idea about. So educating people on those things is the most important for most of what you do. It's the how-tos, the 5 steps to doing XYZ.
It's my favorite part.
It's the easiest, I think, because you already have the knowledge, and you don't have to necessarily create that content. For social media, I can give you 5 steps, 5 E's, 5 whatever to social media content creation because it's what I know. And that's one of my biggest value adds. And one of your biggest value adds is
drawing it out.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where most of us live. All 5 of these things can be kind of married together in different ways. You can make something engaging and educational, and so on. But general 5 pillars. But the next one being engaging. So asking questions and feedback. This is one of my favorite ones to do because it's so interactive on Instagram. So you can have question boxes in your stories and or asking people questions at the end of your reels or carousel posts to comment something or to DM you something.
Sure. It's prompting them to respond. Yes, it's getting a prompting to respond.
Yes, today's day and age, we love sharing our opinions and our feedback on different things. And or if somebody's used something or whatever it is, doesn't have to be related to your industry necessarily, but it's relative to you and whether there's a new water park that you want to take your kids to, but you don't know if it's clean or whatever, safe. And you're asking for people's feedback who have gone to that. That lets people in on your life, what you guys like to do, and adds that kind of relatability into your content that isn't necessarily all about real estate.
Sure.
So this is like in a page where you have married your business and your personal life together, and you have both of those things on there, which if you do have them separate, it is still very important to have something about you on the business page.
Yeah.
Because that's what people are going to connect with, like what you were saying in the beginning. But engaging with your audience in that way and with your sphere of influence. And then entertaining. This is not dancing necessarily on your TikTok or Instagram or whatever it is, but entertaining your audience by sharing your personality and sharing what is relatable about you, what water parks you did go to or whatever that is. And in the real estate realm, you could share, the crazy thing you saw at your listing appointment today or what, XYZ said or saw or whatever it is, and laughing about it or whatever it is, and sharing like a real moment of your personality, how you handled the situation and things like that. That is entertaining for me because I love seeing the crazy stuff y'all see because I don't see those things. And a lot of people don't get to see that side of real estate. We get to see the selling sunset world of reality TV, and it is not like that.
Sure. I did one the other day. I never post about the experience of things I'm doing, but I just had someone that called me and asked me if I could sell their property, and I didn't know them. And I don't normally work for many cold clients. I normally only work with people that know me, but I was like, well, this seems like a pretty slam dunk deal. Sure. So I just went out there. I even brought my sign in my lockbox. I already thought that we got this one done.
Yeah.
And I met with them, and I have expectations of what I'm going to walk into. And my expectations were real low because he's making everything pretty easy. I was like, I'm going to have something come up.
Yeah.
The house is in deplorable shape. He wants to make way above market, all those kind of things. No, actually what happened is the house was way overdone. And I mean overdone. It looked like a new home. They redid all the texture in the walls, probably a 30-year-old house.
That's what we're doing on our house.
All the wood tile was done. And he sold me tile floors. So I've done this a lot. You always have these kind of thinking of how it's going to go. And I was thinking he was going to have like just white tiles, generic, tenant-based, easy, long-term, low maintenance, durable. No, he has sharp wood tile through the entire house. So he overspent to get that level of cleanliness and it looked great. So I'm walking through this. I'm like, there's got to be a catch. You got to be kidding me. This house is way overdone.
Yeah.
And it's not like overdone in quality of material. It's quality of outcome, the way all of it was put together. Very clean.
So much value.
You would have
in
felt
that.
like it's new.
Yeah.
And I'm competing against 2 other houses that are, 30 years old. One has wallpaper. And
Hey,
I'm
wallpaper's coming back.
not this wallpaper. And under unique circumstances, adding that personal flavor and touch, I generally don't recommend unless you never want to sell your house.
Yeah.
But they were using, the fruit wallpaper. So it's terrible. And then the other house had a pool, but it was still Formica. It was still very basic. And we're like at the same price. And I'm like, this is going to be like, you got to be kidding me. So I did a before I met with them. I did a walkthrough and then I did an after in the results.
Great.
So I posted all 3 of those. Never done that before. So that's kind of like a little bit of entertaining, a little bit of behind the scenes. I know it's one of the things that you've got in here.
Totally.
So I'll let you keep going. So we got educational, engaging, entertaining, emotional.
Emotional. So this is sharing wins, losses, and lessons. That scenario could have totally been a loss for a variety of reasons.
Sometimes we win, sometimes we learn.
Yes, totally. And there's
Kinda
value
like the
in both.
positive. Yeah, I like the positive.
Totally. Sharing your wins is usually our favorite thing to do. But I would err on not sharing as many wins because that can come off very boastful and arrogant.
I have a hard time with this.
Sharing wins?
No, I don't post it, but having other people, as an agent, seeing someone, oh, look, we sold a house. And I'm thinking, I sell 10 to 12 of them a month. If I were posting every house I sold, everyone would turn me off. Like, I've had enough. So I don't share any of them. And then I look at it and I said, if you're sharing wins and you're sharing successes, if it's done consistently, constantly, then no one's going to want to interact and engage with you. Like, they're not learning about you. So I kind of thinking that that's really not something you need to do. Share things that add value. We learned about that just in old Facebook posting strategies. You want to do something that adds specific value to your user base, and that's the ones they're going to interact with. If all I'm telling them is, look at this closing I did, look at this house I sold, I feel like that's pushing people away.
I think it depends how you do it. I follow this one real estate agent. I think she's in Cleveland. But every closing she does a really fun, cool video of the couple. That she does a lot of first-time homebuyers. She does a fun video of the couple holding the sign that they normally have, and then blasting their champagne, tossing them the keys. She does the same thing.
Like some type of live video.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's really fun to see that because everybody's really excited in the video.
Yeah.
I like to see that.
Yeah, instead of the normal can title picture.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I would, if I was in that area, I would want to use her because I would want to be in that video and I would want to be popping champagne versus, just signing a document at the title office and moving on with my day kind of thing and making it a celebration and sharing that side of the win. It's less boasting about like, I sold this house, but more so celebrating the people that you just helped do what they wanted to do, conquering this amazing feat of purchasing a home. And so I think if you frame it in a way that lifts up the people that you just did the transaction with versus lifting up yourself, we're called to serve, not to be served.
That's right.
And I think when you give other people a platform to succeed, I personally feel better doing that. But your audience receives that a little bit better too. If that makes sense.
I'll give you a little bit on that one. And I see the other ones that, top.
But you can do it wrong too.
Sure.
Yeah, totally.
And I'll probably once a year I'll have, when I hit Icon or Best of D or some of the highest level achievements that we can as agents get, I'll post that and I'll usually have some, follow-up content. But that's usually as far as I go for that, that type of exposure and stuff like that. Yeah. But even then, I don't know if it really resonates. I get a lot of, congratulations, but I don't know if it really resonates with the buyers and sellers and people that are selling their homes. I don't know if they really care, and that's not to be so objective about it, but I feel like a purpose of creating a lot of this is to build something, right? Either building a place for agents to be attracted to or build a place for your audience to engage and want to work with you. And I feel like those moments create separation. Now, I hear you if you're going to post a fun scene of success and you can kind of put it all together. there's probably a way you can get away with that without anyone feeling,
Totally.
no, here she is, boasting again.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a tasteful way to do it and a humble way to do it.
And no one does what you're talking about. So we need to teach them.
It is hard to do. We kind of let the world lead us in that. But I think there is a great way to tap into it too. And wins don't necessarily have to be closings or awards and things like that. It could literally be that you got your kids out of bed on time today and sharing relatable wins of your life that other people can kind of tap into and understand you. But to your point, it really depends on who you're talking to, and knowing who you're talking to at all times, because that's how you're going to actually reach the people that you want to talk to.
That's true. So the last one's, I don't mean to steal the thunder. We're going to try to go through this, but we've got exclusive.
Yes.
Is the last E.
Yes.
And we talk about behind the scenes and things like that. One of the things I think would be of real value is, and I want to implement, I thought of Instagram for this, is, for me, I have a lot of real estate stories, lots of them, right? This happened in this transaction. This is how we worked through it. I was thinking, and I think most agents will have an experience at least once a week of something that they had to work through or help satisfy. That's accomplishing a little bit of the champagne at closing, where we're going to show my success, but I'm going to do it through a story of problems where people were not working together. Here's how we're going to bring them together and make it work. That seems like a really good value add for anyone that's in this business. And some people don't have enough, but you can draw from others. Like, I just heard this story about, and they can tell someone else's story. They don't have to have all their own. Totally. So that was something I was thinking about.
Yeah, storytelling is absolutely the best way to share any of this. If you haven't read Building a Story Brand by Donald
What if I did
Miller,
this? Hold that for a second.
do that.
Hold that for a second. What if instead of creating a Sean Corbett Instagram or True West, so I'm still leaning towards myself, what if it were just, not so generic, but like real estate stories. And it wasn't even about anything else, but all it was about, again, I have this vision that I'm going to do it one way and consistently stay there, and I'll plug and play and consistently do it, which I can. I'm good at that, but I'm not going to be on all hours. But maybe if I created some really clever, fun stories, and not created, just talk through this, like,
sharing your actual stories.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk for 2 or 3 minutes on a particular scenario and not get too detailed, but kind of focus on the fun stuff. And then put that and consistently put that every week. And instead of me creating a content for me and my family and my business, I just share real estate stories.
I love it.
I'm just hypothetical.
Yeah, totally. I think learning how to tell a story effectively is really hard to do.
Okay, so go back to your book.
So the book is Building a Story Brand.
I think I've heard this
Donald
before.
Miller. I feel like I told you about this.
You
last
probably
time we were
did.
talking.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think I just finished reading it when we met. And he's built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses and helped other people do this through the power of storytelling. And it basically walks you through how every movie has been written, introducing the character and the hero, or the character as the hero that's not you.
Yeah.
And which is kind of hard to do when you are telling a story about your personal experience. Your initial reaction or your initial thought would be that you are the hero of the story, but you're not. Your clients are the heroes of the story. And you're just helping guide them through their story of them, in succeeding in buying a home. And it kind of walks you through how to do that. It's amazing. It's on Spotify if you want to listen to it.
I do Audible, so I'll check on
And it's on Audible too. You can actually read the book if you'd like. But 10 out of 10 recommend it. I do a full training on that one because it's super powerful, but it does take a lot of practice to get naturally flowing at it, making your audience, well, first of all, knowing your audience and who you're talking to is number one. Second, knowing how to talk to them, what's relatable, and on all of this stuff. But sharing those behind the scenes stories, it lets them in on your personality, and it lets them in on all of these things that make you you and draws them into you and builds credibility through your experiences. So it kind of taps into the wins and losses, but not boasting about any of them because we can't boast about anything.
Well, it turns off your audience and it separates you from them.
Yeah.
Let's go to your example IG page.
Yes.
Because we're going to kind of like tailor this up. And then I want to talk about what you can do to help. So you do everything through Canva when you're building.
Oh, yes.
It's super easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's free. They have a free. Do you have a paid subscription? Or?
I have the paid subscription because I use it all hours of the day. Is this the page you wanted to see?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, because it's got your IG example. So for those that are new to building, we got to cover some basic things, right? We got the post, reels, and stories. Mm-hmm. And then what you want to say about yourself. I think just covering that is really kind of what you're going to build on, right?
Totally. Yeah. So having your page set up in an SEO fashion. So this is my page, of course. But I'll just kind of rip through this because we could talk about this for a long time. But the business versus personal thing, we talked about that already. Again, totally up to you, whatever you guys want to do. But I prefer kind of marrying the two together. I think it's easier, saves a lot of time. To your point of talking about repurposing and reusing content and having it on this page and this page and this platform and this platform and this form and all that.
You okay if it's muddy? I mean, where you've got your personal plus your business.
Totally.
Can you just put everything on there?
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. It all comes down to who you're talking to and the purpose of the account, because you don't want to confuse the algorithm about, if you're making, my dream is to make sourdough bread this year. It's one of my things that I want to accomplish this year. And if I all of a sudden start posting only videos about sourdough because I'm obsessed with sourdough, now I probably will, but I will be talking through something about social while I'm making it. So kind of marrying my personality with my business. I made a video on making gluten-free raviolis while I was talking about social media.
How are you making gluten-free sourdough?
Well, the way sourdough is fermented, I don't know enough about it to really give you all the details, but the way it's fermented and things, it has the lowest traceable contents of gluten.
Okay. So it's starting from a very good base.
Yeah.
So it's limited.
Yeah.
Are you trying to be gluten-free?
I am gluten-free.
So you are gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my wife is...
Unfortunately.
Yeah, my wife tries to be gluten-free with everything because it doesn't do well with her when she eats it.
I would be fine. Like, I'm not going to keel over and die if I eat it. But
that's
one of my family members is, my grandmother is. And I just feel better when I don't. I feel less inflamed and all that kind of stuff. But my goal is to make gluten-free bread this year. Or sourdough bread this year. And I'm so excited to do that. But I don't want to confuse my algorithm of just launching into only that.
Yeah.
But I could tie together the process of sourdough and how it takes a long time to make your starter, or it takes a long time to create your audience and your following and your process. But in the end, you come up with this wonderful product of a new client or whatever it is. So I can kind of marry the two things together.
Yeah.
In analogy format, which we will get to that in a
moment.
But business, personal, check, got that. So your handle or your @ name is the one at the top, the big bold one. Mine is Sabrina Lee Socials. I always recommend having your name, your location, or your profession in there to kind of specify that. If you're making your page about you. So if you were making
So I need agent in there somewhere, you think?
That's my recommendation. It's none of these are have-tos, but kind of the guardrails.
As long as you're going to stay in that space.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can always change it too. So if you decide to, axe out of real estate at any particular time, you could take it out if you really wanted to. But it adds some credibility to who you are and is a reminder of what I do for my clients and the people that I talk to. So the people that have followed me from high school are obviously going to know that I work in social media marketing now because it's in my title. And it's just a data point that you log kind of thing of reminding people of what you do in a not so forward fashion.
Oh, that's good.
And the same thing with your other bold name right here underneath your profile image, adding in your title or who you talk to, who you focus on, what you do and who you do it for kind of thing is another data point that you can kind of drop. That's the name that's going to show up when you are DMing people. So when you're in your DMs page and it says, Sean Corbett up the top, it would also say Texas real estate agent. And then it's another data point that you're subliminally dropping into their mind of what you do and reminding them to later on create an, oh, by the way, statement of sorts. So if you're talking about sourdough, let's say you and I are talking about sourdough on Instagram, because I just posted a story about it and mine says social media management and yours says, Texas real estate agent. And then we're talking about whatever, not related to real estate. I'll remember that and be like, oh, by the way, I was talking to my mom's best friend's dog's cousin yesterday and they wanted to sell a house. Can I send them your information? Kind of thing. So it's a way of reminding, again, people of what you do without having to shove it down their throat.
Gotcha.
Profile image, always clear, zoomed in picture of your beautiful face. It's the easiest way for people to recognize who you are.
Consistent across other media.
I would recommend that.
I think most people that get in the space, they want to say, use the same photo for all. Yeah. It's the brand recognition.
I think it's easiest.
Oh.
Again, for
even if it's my high school photo, I gotcha.
Yeah, totally. And we can totally take updated ones too.
Everyone says mine looks old. I was like, I just did it 5 years ago. I'm starting to get some grays now.
You can change a lot in 5 years, especially the last 5 years. But I mean, for women, we change our hair every 6 to 9 months or so. So you never know. But if you have a glamour shot from long time ago, leaning like this or one of these,
poofy hair,
maybe time
and the
to
glow
change
around
it. Maybe time to update it. And we went through name and then your bio. So number one thing is your conversation starters that I like to encourage people to put in there. My number one is Jesus first, because it is the most important thing in my life. And we already got to talk about that. And that's literally the reason why I put it in there, because it is the reason and the purpose of my existence on earth. And if it is genuinely the first thing in my life, then it's going to be in there. And then adding in other talking points for people to go through. Mine says helping busy business owners save time and grow in social. It's very clear. You know exactly who I'm talking to and exactly what I do.
Yeah.
And lastly, adding your call to action and your link into your bio. So having some direction of where they can go. Getting somebody to your profile is a feat in of itself. But then giving them something to do once they get there is going to help, either get their contact information and build your lead funnel process. And that's a whole different topic.
Can you put phone numbers in here?
Yes, you can. So this is a screenshot from my profile. So I can't see it on my page.
Because I know this isn't the purpose of Instagram, but I want to solve real estate problems.
Yeah.
And I don't want them sending it through me, through Instagram. Just call me.
Totally. So you can so I have email on there, but you can have a different button there that says call. You can put that in there. So you definitely can do that. But having that call to action is so important because people are not going to do anything unless you tell them to do something. Donald Miller had a whole podcast about this, of calling people to action. And he was talking to one of his friends on the phone.
It sounds a little bit
give me
like
your contact information so that I can send you this. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah. But
it should that should always be included in any type of, formal communication or even through text. I want to make sure there's a way to connect with me.
Totally.
But it's a little bit of the ask for the sale.
Yes.
I never ask for the sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of have a different thinking of it. I'm going to create so much value. You're going to ask me for the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's kind of the way that I kind of prefer to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I or calling people in your sphere of influence, anybody need to buy or sell?
Mm-hmm.
Not going to happen. I'm not going to do it.
No.
I feel like I'm going to create enough value showing them Sabrina socials, that I'm doing social media or that I'm doing real estate, that it's going to be a part of their communication with me without me having to say anything. I like that subtleness.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big win.
Totally. And that goes across any of the industries, insurance, mortgage, all of them. Again, subtle reminders. I'm sure the statistic is lower now, but it used to be 17 times where you'd have to connect with somebody in some way for them to feel comfortable to reach out to you on social. So they'd have to see your face 17 times. I'm sure it's less now, but, or maybe it's more actually, because they're seeing so many faces, but adding in the subtle reminders of what you do without having to talk about real estate every time that you talk to this person. Kind of thing. So that's kind of, guardrails of how to set up your profile. And then
last thing on call to action. When we're doing social media posting, I think one of the things you want to add value So someone was describing kind of like this dating scenario where we're posting things and creating value to them, but maybe early on it's like, hey, subscribe in your first video that you send or you post. Probably a little too far down the relationship chart before we get to that, right?
Yeah, you can't ask them to marry you when you meet them.
That's right. So it could be that, hey, just click like, or post a quick comment if you see something of value.
Totally.
Something really simple with a low bar. And then eventually you'll have to create very good content. And then at that point you can say, hey, go ahead and subscribe. I've got a lot more content coming.
Totally.
So some of those have to do with each other. So we're coming up close to the end. Let's do the last thing. You are in this business. You offer the services. Do you have a couple of specific ways that you kind of approach or help people in this space? How do you do that?
Yeah. So my favorite world to live in is content creation. So helping people go through this process and create a plan of action for their page. Whether I help you through the entire process of actually creating the content, coming to, amazing places like this to create content, or, coming to your listings or anything like that and seeing it from the beginning to the end, or just helping you create a plan for you to then later execute on. So there's one-on-one coaching, team coaching. There's a mentorship program where you kind of already know what you need to do. But I'm kind of hand-holding and walking you through the process, giving you best practices, helping you reduce, reuse, recycle your content, and like elevating your content from where you currently are. And then, of course, the Do It For You program, where I create the strategy from the very beginning. We obviously have a lot of meetings to get to that strategy, but filming the content, editing the content, and then managing your actual page and posting and doing all that side of it too. I think a huge reason why we don't do social.
Yeah, they can't start videoing. They can't get the basics going.
Even just pressing post.
Yeah.
Is so hard to do.
Yeah.
And if you kind of release that, which I know releasing that power over your social is really hard to do, but releasing that to somebody else will ensure that your consistency and your value is being executed on. You guys have so many things to do. I like to talk in analogies, but your job is, I kind of think of as a doctor's office. And when you go into a doctor's office and you have the doctor check you in, the doctor walk you back to the room, and the doctor actually executing and doing your checkout, like that, it doesn't work that way.
No, it can't.
And you can't work that way because you have 50 billion things on your plate, and allowing someone else to take that off of your plate is hard to do, but it frees you up to do what you actually got into this business to do, is to sell houses and to connect with people and build relationships. And if you're stuck making a reel for, 1 to 2 hours, when it can take somebody else a lot less time to do that and actually execute on it and not let it go to a back burner, your execution will skyrocket through the roof. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is seeing the product from beginning to end, and from creating the strategy to, posting and executing and all that kind of stuff too.
Well, very good, Sabrina. I enjoyed having you on.
Thank you.
How do we find you?
Instagram is my favorite place to live. So at Sabrina Lee Socials is my Instagram. On all of my platforms, it's Sabrina Lee Socials. My full name is Sabrina Lee Shelpuk, like seashell hockey puck. It's new, 7 months old. And emails will all be in there, and would love to connect. Text, call, email. Email's on my Instagram too.
Very good. I appreciate having Sabrina here. Sean Corbett again, True West. If you like this content, I have a lot of videos like this available on my YouTube channel. We provided an hour of benefit to you. I hope that's enough for you to subscribe to my channel. And again, if you need anything from me, you can call or email me as well. I appreciate it. Thank you.